Channel. Now we are going to start the attachments on tibia. So first we start the attachments on the medial condyle. Okay, so you can see this is the medial condyle and this is the lateral condyle. So how to say it? You can see you have the meiosis here, medial meiosis. So this will be medial side, and actually this is the anterior side of the tibia and this is the posterior side. Okay, now let us start with the medial condyle. So on the medial condyle there is insertion of semi-membranous. So semi-membranous and semi-tendinous, you can see the semi-membranous is inserted onto the groove on posterior surface. So mainly on the posterior surface, you can see in the posterior surface of medial condyle there is a groove, and there the semi-membranous is getting its insertion in the groove on posterior surface. Next, coming to the capsular ligament of knee joint, it is attached to upper border, gives attachment to deep fibers of tibial collateral ligament. So here is the capsule of superior tibiofibular joint. So this is a capsular ligament of knee joint. This is also attached to upper border, gives attachment to deep fibers of tibial collateral ligament. So it also gives attachment to tibial collateral ligament. So here you can see it's mentioned this is a capsular ligament, and here this is a capsular ligament. Okay, so you can see here the tibial collateral ligament attachment, and also there is tibial tuberosity, and there is attachment of ligamentum patellae. So this ligamental patellae is actually a retinaculum which is attached to the anterior surface. Okay, so these are all attachments on medial condyle. So medial condyle have semi-membranous on posterior surface. Okay, semi-membranous on posterior surface, capsular ligament and of knee joint, and also the tibial collateral ligament and medial patellar retinaculum, all attached to anterior surface. Okay, now we'll go to the attachments on lateral condyle. So this is a lateral condyle, anterior surface of lateral condyle, this is the posterior surface of lateral condyle. So that iliotibial tract is attached to flatten impression on anterior surface, the iliotibial tract. So you can see this is the iliotibial tract. Next, coming to capsular ligament of superior tibiofibular joint is attached to margins of tibular facet. Capsular ligament of superior tibiofibular joint. So tibiofibular joint tibiofibular joint, you can see the capsule of superior tibiofibular joint. This is attached to the lateral condyle. Okay, and also there is origin of extensor digitorum longus, and in this diagram it is not shown, but remember that origin of extensor digitorum, here. So here will be that origin of extensor digitorum, and also longus and peroneus longus extend on lateral condyle near fibular facet. So this is lateral side, because how you can say that one, because here there is no medial malleosus. So this is lateral side near the fibular facet. There is origin of extensor digitorum longus and also peroneus longus. Okay, extend on lateral condyle near fibular facet. This is the fibular facet. Done. Let's come into the groove on posterior surface. There is a groove on the posterior surface of lateral condyle occupied by tendon of popliteus. Okay, tendon of popliteus with its bursa. Now coming to attachments on intercondylar area. Intercondylar area means this one. Okay, intercondylar eminence here. So the following are attached from before backwards. First, anterior horn of medial meniscus, just in front of medial articular surface. So medial meniscus, and there is also anterior cruciate ligament on smooth area behind previous attachment, that is behind the medial meniscus, and there is also anterior horn of lateral meniscus, front of intercondylar eminence, lateral to anterior cruciate ligament. So these are all different ligaments which will be attached over here, and also there is posterior horn of lateral meniscus to posterior slope of intercondylar eminence. So mainly you have the 4 ligaments. Okay, the first one is anterior horn of medial meniscus, second one is anterior cruciate ligament, next one is anterior horn of lateral meniscus. So first medial meniscus, next cruciate ligament, anterior cruciate ligament, next lateral meniscus, next posterior horn of lateral meniscus. So once again, anterior horn of medial meniscus, after that anterior cruciate ligament, after that anterior horn of lateral meniscus, last posterior horn of lateral meniscus. So these are arranged from before backwards in order in the intercondylar area over here. Okay, not only this, there are also other ligaments like next it has posterior horn of medial meniscus to the depression behind the base of medial intercondylar tubercle, and next has a posterior cruciate ligament to posterior smooth area. So this is the order. Once again, let us repeat the order. First you have anterior horn of medial meniscus, next anterior cruciate ligament, next anterior horn of lateral meniscus, next posterior horn of lateral meniscus, next posterior horn of medial meniscus, next posterior cruciate ligament. Okay. Now next coming to the attachment on tibial tuberosity. So the tibial tuberosity gives attachment to ligamentum patellae, and it is attached to the upper smooth part of tibial tuberosity. So to the tibial tuberosity, you can see there is attachment of ligamentum patellae, right? And the lower rough area of tuberosity is subcutaneous, but it is separated from skin by subcutaneous infrapatellar bursa. So lower area is subcutaneous. Let's come into the attachment on the shaft. Okay, on the shaft first you have tibialis anterior. It arises from upper 2/3 or less of lateral surface. This is lateral surface, this is medial surface. So from lateral surface you can see there is origin of tibialis anterior. Next, upper part of medial surface receives insertions of sartorius. So it receives insertion of, you can see, sartorius muscle, gracilis muscle and semitendinous muscle from before backwards. Okay. Next, still further posteriorly, this surface gives attachment to tibial collateral ligament. So posteriorly, if you see, there is attachment of, still posteriorly here only. Posteriorly there is tibial collateral ligament along the medial border. Let's come into soleus. Okay. Here comes the soleal line. Okay, origin of soleus on the posterior side. So soleus arrays on soleal line also gives attachment to fascia covering soleus. The fascia covering popliteus, okay, here, and also the transverse facial septum. The tendinous arch for origin of soleus is attached to tubercle at upper end of soleal line. Next, coming to popliteus is inserted on posterior surface into triangular area above soleal line, and the medial area of posterior surface below the soleal line gives origin to the flexor. You can see flexor digitorum longus, this one, flexor digitorum longus, while lateral area gives origin to tibialis posterior. So this is lateral side giving, on the posterior side gives origin to tibialis posterior, medial side origin of flexor digitorum longus. Okay. Next, the anterior border of tibia. Here comes the anterior border, right? The anterior border of tibia gives attachment to deep fascia of leg and its lower part to superior extensor retinaculum. Here. And next, coming to the rough upper part of fibular notch. Here. Gives attachment to interosseous tibiofibular ligament. Yeah, here. Tibiofibular ligament. And next, coming to capsular ligament of ankle joint is attached to lower end along margins of the articular surface. So here will be attachment of some ligaments, capsular ligaments of ankle joint. This one, these are capsular ligaments of ankle joint. It is attached on lower and along margins of articular surface. Deltoid ligament of ankle joint is attached to lower border of medial malleosus. So to medial malleosus there is deltoid ligament, okay, of ankle. Next, coming to relations of tibia. So the lower part of anterior surface of shaft is mainly related to here. Okay, lower surface of anterior surface of shaft and anterior aspect of lower end are crossed from medial to lateral side by tibialis anterior. Okay, from medial to lateral side by tibialis anterior and extensor hallucis longus, anterior tibial artery, and also the deep peroneal nerve. Okay, and also the extensor digitorum longus here, and also the peroneus tertius. So these are all the tendons which are crossing from the in the anterior lower part, mainly from the medial to lateral side. This is medial side to the lateral side. Okay, these are all the tendons which are crossing. Next, the lowermost parts of posterior surface. The lowermost part of posterior surface of the shaft and the posterior aspect of lower end are related from medial to lateral side. This is medial, so medial to lateral side like this to tibialis posterior, and next comes the which lies in groove and the flexor digitorum longus. Okay, this one, and next you have the flexor posterior tibial artery, the tibial nerve. Okay, and also you have the flexor hallucis longus. The groove for the tendon of tibialis posterior continues downwards on posterior surface of medial malleosus. Okay. Next, the lower 1/3 of medial surface of shaft. This one, the medial surface of shaft is covered by great saphenous vein. So these are all different relations, and the blood supply. The nutrient artery to tibia is largest nutrient artery in body. It's a branch of posterior tibial artery which enters the bone on posterior surface here. Let's come into ossification. So for that, see this diagram. Ossification of tibia. Tibia ossifies from one primary center and to two secondary centers. So that's primary center appears in the shaft during 7th week. In the shaft it appears in the 7th week. This is tibia. So in the shaft it appears in the 7th week of intrauterine life. Secondary centers for the upper end appear just before the birth and fuses with the shaft at 16 to 18 years. Upper epiphysis usually includes the tibial tuberosity. The secondary center for lower end appears during first year, forms medial meiosis by 7th year. Next, and fuses with shaft by 15 to 17 years. Separate secondary center may appear for tibial tuberosity here. Okay, and medial meiosis also, they may have separate secondary centers. Okay, so finally we'll discuss about the clinical anatomy related to our tibia. Okay, so clinical anatomy is nothing but the upper end of tibia is of one of the common site for acute osteomyelitis. Okay, and the knee joint remains safe because the capsule is attached near articular margins of tibia proximal to the epiphyseal line. Next, tibia is most commonly fractured at the junction of upper 2/3 and lower 1/3 of shaft. Okay, is most slender. The lower 1/3 is also most slender, and also upper part is most common site of fracture. So such fracture may unite slowly or may not unite at all. So sometimes union, sometimes non-union, as the blood supply to the part of bone is poor. So this may be caused by tearing of nutrient artery. So if the nutrient artery is present and all blood supply is normal, then it may fuse. And if there is no nutrient artery properly and no blood supply, then they may not fuse completely. So sometimes a surgeon takes a piece of bone from part of the body and use it to repair a defect in some other bone called bone graft. That is, from some part of the body we are taking the bone and giving to the other part. Okay, that is called bone graft. For this purpose, the pieces of bone are easily obtained from subcutaneous medial aspect of tibia. So to do bone grafts, we can take the tibial bone and we can place it in some other part of the body. So the foot gets caught in a hole in ground, there may be forcible abduction, okay, and external rotation. In such an injury, first there occurs a spiral fracture of lateral malleosus, then evolution of tibial collateral ligament, not medial malleosus, lateral malleosus of fibula. But because of that, there is problem in tibial collateral ligament. If you remember, here we discuss about tibial collateral ligament. So there will be problem in tibial collateral ligament because of lateral malleosus injury. So, and finally the posterior margin of lower end of tibia shears off against talus, and these stages are termed as first, second, third degrees of pot fracture. So forward dislocation of tibia on talus produces characteristic prominence of heel in this injury. So this is common type of fracture at ankle. So this is all about clinical anatomy, ossification, blood supply, external attachments, and the relations of tibia, attachments, muscle attachments, ligament attachments of tibia.